Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back. Sorry I wasn't here last week. I unfortunately lost my mum last week, which was really, really rough. And quite honestly, I'm really grateful to have the markets to get back into, because you know the markets can really suck you in and keep you in the present and not thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff. So, but it does mean that I might not be on my A game, but I'm hoping to do the best I can. So, let's start with Big Daddy, Bitcoin. Now there's two, and we'll go to the weekly first of all. And we'll start with the weekly. Because, you know, at the moment, when we look at these weekly moving averages, in the uptrend, this weekly 20 moving average has been really good support. And then once we flipped into downtrend, this 20 moving average on the weekly was really good resistance, unless really we make a new high or we get above this weekly 20 moving average and we can hold above it. I'm pretty sure that we are stuck, and we're stuck sideways consolidating. And the unfortunate thing is that in a market, when you have a triangle pattern like this, like we're seeing here, very often it resolves to the downside. So I'm going to say that for Bitcoin, we've got two options now. We're either going to continue this rally that we're in at the moment, and we're going to make an ABC pattern, so an equal measured move. Forget the triangle for now. We're going to make an equal measured move like this. And that's going to take us back to this major 4,400 resistance area. And then that's also, as you know, our weekly 20 moving average. And then I think that we'll decide what happens there. And the kind of rate we're climbing, which is pretty slow now. And you see the trajectory of this 200-day moving average. I think if we do that, then we set up a date. If I used to be an air traffic controller, so we can kind of plot where they're going to meet if we keep going at this rate, can't we? And that gives us a meeting with our 200-day moving average at that major 4,400 level. If you're trading on Bitfinex, it's about $120 higher, so 4,520. And if we take a look at, if we go to Bitcoin dollar at Bitstamp, because I've got my chart marked, and I'll tidy up a little bit here. Thanks for all the love, guys. Thanks. Let's log scale, take out of that. So this would be, you remember Fibonacci levels, they're like a staircase, these retrace levels. So if we draw our Fib retrace levels from the January 2015 lows to the highs that we made in December 2017, then, you know, when you get underneath a level, it becomes resistance. So for example, this 382 level, this 50% is a good example of when we got underneath it. But, you know, I think this would be therefore a back test at Bitstamp of this 786 fib level. And if we are going to keep going lower on this weekly, we won't go back above it. This will be our resistance so we won't close above it. So 4,328 on Bitstamp. That's what I'm looking at there. Okay, so we'll go back to BitMEX again. Sorry. Here we go. So that's our option one. We make an equal measured move and we get back to 4,380, 4,400. The alternative is that this is a big triangle, Elliott wave triangle, and when you see that, very often each wave is smaller. So at the moment, okay, I'm going to use this tool here. If I measure it this way, this 4,400 level is where this swing is 61.8 of the first swing. That's a very common retrace level. So what we could be seeing here, the alternative is a big triangle. Both of these patterns are bearish. If we fail at this trend line, or if we fail at this 4,400 level, it all points to a retest of the lows and potentially new lows. So let's be clear about that. But if we get above 4,400, and if we get above that 200-day moving average, which is a bit behind here on this BitMEX chart, then we have made a bottom and we've reversed. So you know, we can afford to be a bit patient and wait and see how this plays out. One of the things I have learned about triangles like this, if you draw them and they look too tight, very often they are, but for now we'll do it like this. And so if this was an Elliott wave triangle, this is A, B, C, we would see this come down in three ways like this, D, E, and then we would see one more retest of the lows before we bottom. So it could be that we're in for some more sideways trading. The funky way that Bitcoin is rallying looks a little bit squeezy to me. And by that I mean, yeah, if we look at this as wave one and then A, B, C, and then two, you know, it's all a bit, it's a grinding higher. And when I see a market grinding higher, very often it doesn't reverse. You know, when it does a last minute spike, that says reversal to me. So when we were watching this trend line, 4,130 at BitMEX, if this breaks, 4,400 would be our resistance. If we don't, and if we roll over and if we make a lower high here, then we're going to look to the bottom of this wedge and we're going to look for an equal measured move going the other way. So that would be from here to this low, from wherever we top out. So that at the moment would take us to about 3,500. And then, you know, be prepared for one more, for this third touches of trend lines are very often false breaks. That means that the market will take a look the other side of it, but then it'll pop back and close above and bounce. So be prepared for that to happen. And then it might either make a flag and then carry on, but I think more likely we'll see an E leg, but we'll see. So that's not very exciting, is it, in Bitcoin? ETH is the same, a little bit bearish. We talked about ETH earlier today. Made a video today. In ETH, this rally was corrective. You know, it's really slow, choppy, overlapping. In ETH dollar, I'm going to put regular candles on. We only went back 50% of the high to the low. Whenever you see an equal measured move like this that only gets to 50%, you're always looking for another leg lower. So we're looking for another leg lower from here. So I think that the triangle pattern is becoming, although it's a little bit funky looking, is becoming more likely here for Ethereum. So again, we're going to measure from this high to this low, project it from here. Now in ETH, we might only drop to this 618 level. So the first support is here at 11750, and potentially we could rally from there. But if we don't, and if we keep going, we set up a retest of round number 100 in ETH US dollar. So 11752 and then 175. So consolidation patterns continue in some of these majors, and led unfortunately by Litecoin. So we'll take a look at Litecoin and what we're likely to see in Litecoin. Sorry, I was just getting Bitcoin Cash ready. Now this is Litecoin dollar. I'm going to zoom out. We've had really such a great rally in Litecoin, and it's really been leading the way. And there's a lot to like about this chart. It's above the 200-day moving average. But when I zoom all the way out and I go just this most recent swing higher in Litecoin, we've hit this 236 fib level, okay? From this most recent swing. I should really put this on so you can see where I've drawn it. There you go. That's clearly the most recent swing. So this 60.61 is one of those levels where we're likely to come back and retest support before we continue higher. And if you can see, there's a really good support level, support and resistance level through here, these previous lows and this high. So if you put a gun to my head, that round number 50, if we reverse here in Litecoin, is likely where we come back and retest support, and we could set up a much bigger kind of bottoming pattern in Litecoin if we do that. At the moment, we're just waiting to see if we reverse at this level, and so far it does look a bit like we are. So that's where I'm looking for this one to come back to. This is a 4-hour chart of Litecoin, and on our hourly. Yeah, I think if we close underneath 60.60, we should look for a bit more downside in a Litecoin to come. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is NEO. Lots of requests for NEO and Ant shares. What's going on with NEO? we're going to start looking at Neo Bitcoin, and we're doing a little bit of a dance here around the 200-day moving average. I'm a little bit concerned about Neo because if I measure from this high to low, we've paused at this 61.8 61.8 level, where this swing is 61.8 in distance from the first swing. If I look at also kind of fib correction levels, it's not quite so clear, but in this one it's also that pesky 50% back level that we couldn't close above. So very similar setup to the reversal that we saw in Ethereum, where we have an ABC correction and a 50% retrace. When you stall at a 50% retrace, and you can see this is obviously the most recent swing, then your first downside target is 50% back. So in Neo Bitcoin, I'm looking for this to come 50% back. We've done one swing lower, haven't tagged it yet, 21.35. And this little ABC rally here on the daily adds weight to still in a correction. Look, we've done a little ABC again here. So I'm looking for this flag because this is a pole, and then here's our flag to break down. Here's our flag, and the first minimum target, 21.35. Bitcoin is spooning men to the moon. Okay, I'll take a quick look at Neo Dollar, but I don't think it's gonna help us much more than we have already seen from Neo Bitcoin, but we'll take a look anyway. In big terms of big swing in this one, you can see from this high to this low, I must mark it so people can see what I'm looking at. Most recent swing lower, fib retrace levels, couldn't get beyond this 236 fib level at 10.15, and again an ABC correction in this one. They look equal here. Let me just guesstimate, and they do. They are two equal. So we're still in a correction in Neo. This is not a bottom yet, and so at least another swing of downside, I'm afraid, to come for Neo US dollar. Okay, Ripple. I'm sorry, Ripple fans. I know lots of people love this coin. Gosh, I was supposed to start by saying the ones that were my 3 favorite coins for tonight. And that was really naughty because I haven't done it. So my 3 favorite coins for tonight are ADA, Bitcoin Cash, ABC, and Vibe, V-I-B-E. I also kind of like OAX, it's a small one, and Library Credits, LBC. They were my 2 runners-up, but my top 3 were ADA, BCH, Vibe, and then OAX and maybe LBC. Okay, so here we are, to get my breath back. Here we are in, I'm going to hide these moving averages in Ripple. So in Ripple, we had this spectacular rally off the highs here. And whenever you do that, you know, you're looking for your 3 waves back before you can continue higher again. Now, I was hoping that this ABC would be enough and we would make new highs in Ripple, but we haven't. We've rolled over. So what I think we're seeing is a bigger ABC correction. In Ripple Bitcoin, I kind of really like this. I did really like it as an inverted head and shoulders pattern. The problem is it's kind of, you can see it here, left shoulder, head, you know, right shoulder, but we didn't break out. That was unfortunate. And now we've kind of gone too far. So for it to be that pattern, you need better symmetry. They work best when the left shoulder and the right shoulder are the same size. And that's not happening here in Ripple. So now, before we start our next swing higher in Ripple, we're looking for an ABC correction. Now, if I measure from this high to this low in Ripple Bitcoin and I project it from this high, the first level that I'm going to be looking for us to bounce from is where this second swing is 61.8 of the first swing. So that's 7216, and we're not quite there yet. If I measure even within this pattern here, like this, you can see that what adds weight to this being the level is if this next swing lower is equal to this first swing. Let me do it a simple way so you can see. like this. So that also lines up at that 618 level. There we go. So 7216 is where I think Ripple will find support. At the moment, this all looks a little bit like we're losing support. And if we have, in fact, and instead of drawing this horizontally, I should probably draw this as a little bit of a bearish pennant because it's a triangle. Triangles are pennants and flags are rectangles. So our bearish pennant has broken down. Our target is here at 7216 in Ripple Bitcoin. In Ripple Dollar, or let's look at Ripple Tether, or one of those. We can look at Ripple Dollar. Now, just because Ripple Dollar is going down against, just because Ripple is going down against Bitcoin or underperforming Bitcoin, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go down against the dollar. But in this case, you know, this choppy overlapping price action in a downtrend, which we really still are in, does point to lower, unfortunately, for me. So maybe a retest of the double bottom. Let's put the moving averages back on. Not that they really help us in this instance. So yeah, I think at a minimum, we are set up to retest the lows. It's not convincing enough anyway to make me want to buy Ripple yet. I think short term, if this wedge breaks to the upside, then yeah, we could see a move higher. And this is one you can afford to be patient in because that Ripple Bitcoin chart says that Bitcoin's going to outperform for a bit. So sideways consolidation, waiting for a breakout one way or another in Ripple. I'll take this away. That's my fib. I've got an alert on this upper trend line. And the reason for that is, you know, when Ripple's taken off before, Ripple's got a really nasty habit of going very, very quiet and not doing very much and then literally exploding. And so it does always pay to have an alarm set or keep an eye on it anyway, so you don't miss it. Okay, next one we're going to look at is Bitcoin Cash, which is one of my picks. So here's Bitcoin Cash ABC. Let's take a look at the weekly in this chart. We'll start off with the big weekly. So for me, you know, I'm a big moving average fan, and so is Bitcoin Cash. So this 20 moving average marked the high pretty clearly last time we were here in Bitcoin Cash. Let me take all of this stuff away and you can see. So I'm looking for us on this higher low to rally back to that weekly 20 moving average. Here, when I take a daily chart, you can see, even if this is just a correction in a downtrend in Bitcoin Cash ABC, we should be able to see this, you know, make 3 waves higher and they have a relationship. And so if we do that here in Bitcoin Cash, like this, we'll measure the first swing up and then we'll project it from here like this. You can see that if we get to 61.8 of the first swing, that's 207.28. This is Bitcoin Cash US dollar. And if we make an equal measured move, which I think is very possible, we meet up with the 200-day moving average up here at 270.50. So as long as we hold above these highs, which we are, and I've marked it at the closing price because that's what the market seemed to be looking at, you know, this highest close here on this green candle. So that's where I think we're headed in Bitcoin Cash ABC, and I think you can buy against this support level, which is at 152. If we take a look under the hood here, we're doing a little bit of consolidation. I would not be surprised to see this come back and retest this level for support before we carry on higher, and I think it'll be a really good buying opportunity in Bitcoin Cash ABC. I'll take a quick look at Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin, but this one's a little bit easier to read because of fib retrace levels in this one. But we're still looking for the same patterns. Let me get rid of this. The same patterns here in Bitcoin Cash ABC against Bitcoin. So if this was our first swing higher, like this, I'm going to measure badly from these lows, and don't worry, I'll line it up. If your OCD is kicking in watching me, I'll fix it, don't worry, just shout. Okay, so 61.8 of this first swing lines up with the 200-day moving average in Bitcoin Cash ABC against Bitcoin. So that gives us a target of 5,161,750. Or to make it really easy, the 200-day moving average and the prior highs from December. If we go beyond that 200-day moving average, we're going to look for these lows to make it easy from September and October, and the measured move level, 6,432,000. But we'll start with the 200-day for our first upside target in this one. Pretty overcooked on the upside and stalled at the, see how we rallied to the 236 fib and pulled back? We rallied to the 382 fib and pulled back. So in this move higher, if we get above this 382 fib, which is at 4,085,920, we can expect this 50% level to be trouble as well, 4,388. Where do these levels come from? I'm just going to take this away. From this high to this low. So watch out at the 50% level. That'll be your next pullback level in Bitcoin Cash ABC against Bitcoin. Do I think it's better to do Bitcoin Cash to dollar or Bitcoin? I think if you're an exchange, and you've done the know your customer thing, and so they let you trade from regular dollars to Bitcoin Cash or whatever, it's better to do it that way. And you know if it's going up against fiat money. For a lot of us, we're still at exchanges where we have to buy the Bitcoin or the ETH first and then buy the altcoins. So it really depends on your situation and where you're trading, I think. So I think it's good if you're trading it against Bitcoin and Bitcoin is falling. I think it's really good to look at it against the dollar and make sure that it's going up against the dollar as well. That's what I would say. Okay, I've done NEO out of turn. So next one I'm going to look at, we've done NEO already, is ADA. Okay, so here's the daily chart of ADA Bitcoin. Look at this. So if we look at this, so if we drew this as an inverted head and shoulders pattern in ADA, we haven't lost symmetry at all, have we? This left shoulder is not bigger than the right shoulder. I'm going to draw it right at the extremes like this first of all. And then I'm going to, you know, we're like not looking too unbalanced. What I also like about ADA is we are above the 200-day moving average. This was resistance when we tried it in February for 4 days, 5 days. Now we're above it, and that 200-day is our support. It's where we're wrong if we go back underneath it. And everything in this ADA chart points to higher. So having said that, doesn't mean if everything is coming off, it doesn't mean that ADA won't have a few days pullback, but I'm looking for them to be shallow pullbacks, and we should at least, you know, for me, it's almost a no-no. I hate, okay, a trend line, okay, should connect highs and lows in the same sequence. So if you think that this is in an uptrend, right, you should connect the highs in this uptrend and the lows in this uptrend. And in this downtrend sequence, you should connect highs and lows. As soon as you draw this, right, you've connected a high from this downtrend with a high from this uptrend. And it's very easy when you're a new trader to be a bit random about this and curve fit it and make it look like something it's not. So I'm going to say the safest way is to not do that and to use horizontal levels. So we've stalled at this closing price here, horizontal level 1297, but I'm looking for a shallow pullback in ADA and ADA to continue higher to 1624. And I'm dead wrong in ADA if we go back below 1140 ADA Bitcoin. So 1624 is first resistance. Now, if this were to be an inverted head and shoulders pattern, then we would go twice the distance from the neckline, which takes us up to around sort of 1900. If this is not, and this is just a bearish ABC, then this is the first swing. This would be the second swing from here. And you can see that this lines up, actually, if I should line it up from here, this lines us up with this 236 fib. So if you're long of ADA, if you're in ADA, or if you're planning to buy ADA on a pullback, watch out for a bearish reversal at 1624 and definitely take some partial profit there. If you take some partial profit there and it comes back, at least you haven't got a loser. And if you get above this level and it holds above on a retest and not just a spike, you can buy a pullback again and buy some more. So you haven't lost really anything if you do that. But I think 1624 might be a little bit of trouble for ADA. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at, so that ADA is one of my picks, mainly because of that shape pattern. ICX Bitcoin is next. Now there's two. So this is a lovely move in ICX Bitcoin above the 200-day moving average. Everything looks fabulous, and we should, on a pullback to these moving averages, find some support. The problem is with this move that we've had, and let me take stuff out of the way. The problem is with this move that we've had is we stopped exactly at the 50% of this most recent high to low. And very often, when you stop at a 50%, you come back 50%. So 236 is almost 0.25, isn't it? 0.25, we're going to say, would be 50 back. So it's possible that we don't hold this 200 and we come back a little way underneath it to somewhere around 760 in ICX, which would be 50% back before we turn and go higher again. So I'm watching to see if we can get a bullish reversal here. And if we don't, I think we might come a little bit lower in ICX Bitcoin. When I look at this price action and I look at these hourly moving averages, it's not really compelling, is it? So if we lose this support, which we're teetering on now, watch out for a nice buy entry around 750, 760 in ICX Bitcoin. In ICX dollar, is it ICX dollar or Tether you like? Tether, okay. Hello, Paul Scope Cam. Is that a gun scope? Okay, so ICX US dollar Tether. Okay, here we are, having got above. Now ICX, I'm a bit more bullish this one because I feel with these fib levels, if you've drawn them correctly, that they should be support when you test them from the other side. So in ICX Tether, I've drawn it from this high, and I'm starting to think maybe this is the wrong high because we didn't get much of a reaction, and now we're sitting on it. If we lose it, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I haven't done it right, and maybe I should have drawn it from here, in which case we've tagged the 236 fib and we're vulnerable to a bigger pullback. I do this because this looked like the most recent 5 wave, but you know, so I'm going to leave this here at the moment just to remind me that we are probably quite vulnerable to a pullback, a bigger pullback. And we'll take a look at the rally then on an hourly chart and see where we're at, or a 4 hourly, that'll be good. Okay, so we'll do the same with our fibs from going the other way on our moving averages. Now, in terms of hourly moving averages, we've turned this into a bearish pennant. If we break down here, we're going to see another leg lower, and I think back to that 50% level and the hourly 200 moving average. So if this was our first swing higher, this would then be our, you know, second swing. I'll measure it from here, but yeah, something like that. Maybe somewhere between the 50% and the 61.8. So icon Tether dollar, US dollar Tether isn't quite so bullish, and I think that we're at risk of another swing lower in this. So that would be 0.2848. Now 0.2848, before we go, oh heck, what a lovely level in terms of support and resistance this is. When we look at these highs here, we'll look at the closing prices anyway. So a pretty good support and resistance level to come back and retest as well. But I think that that is probably where we're coming back to in ICX dollar Tether. Waves Warvez is next. Another one that's crashed back. So I'm going to take that away. This is a daily chart of Waves Bitcoin. Let's put regular candles on. Because in the big drop that we made from all the way from the June 2017 highs in Waves, we've stalled again at this 382 fib support level, and also these prior highs. So it's not terribly bullish when we do that at 382. The problem with a 382 fib is it can sometimes give you a really deep retrace before it makes another leg higher. One of the harmonic pattern rules says, though, is this, so this is our first leg higher. Now we're going to do an ABC pullback, and then we should do another leg higher. And one of the harmonic pattern rules says that when you stop at a 382, then the next swing higher will be at least 1.618 of the correction. So if we mark that like this, then that gives you an easy target for your next swing using the rules. So if we come down here, or if we do one of those deep retraces like this, an 886 retrace or something, our next swing higher will be up to this 618 level and 1.618 of the correction. If we stop here, then our minimum target would be here at 153,855. Until we turn around and go higher again, of course, we don't know where that's going to be, but that's just a kind of helpful rule. But if we come back to the daily 20 moving average, 200 moving average, we've got a way further to go. If we measure the legs now that we've made a new low, then I'm going to say 57,980 and potentially all the way down to 38,923. So if I do that and 38,923, then there we are. It lines up at the 6. So what we'd be looking for then would be an equal measured move down to here, and then our next leg higher would be up here. So Waves not ready, no reversal yet, no reason to buy it yet, and a little bit further to go. So just do those downside levels again in Warvez. I had much hope for this one. So, okay, 57,375 and then 37,945 for Waves. Next one we're going to look at is OMG. This was a requested one. And this is another one that's failed at previous highs and failed at the 200-day moving average and is now going to come back and test support. Now, if this was just our first leg higher, and this is our pullback, and this is our wave 3, and we're going to see another wave higher, then the most common retrace of a wave 3 is 38.2, and we've gone beyond that. We're at the 50%. So potentially we're at a support level to look for a retrace. I think more likely we should do the 50% from these entire lows, though, make that a little bit lower, 365. So if we're going to keep trending higher, 365 in OMG Bitcoin should hold, and we should turn around and rip it from here. If we don't, then we're going to be looking for something. So if we drop underneath it, I think that we're going to be looking for something more complex, a bit like this here. And so we then should look for a bigger rounded pattern like this and a bottoming pattern like a inverted head and shoulders pattern. So that's what I'm looking for in here. If we're going to keep trending higher, 365 down to sort of 355 really should be where we turn around and shoot higher. Here on the hourly chart, we're sitting at the hourly 200 moving average. We're sitting at previous lows. We're kind of right in the zone where we should, if we're going to find support, find some support. If I was going to draw this and wanted to, didn't want it to take off without me, I'd probably connect these highs here, put an alert up here in OMG, and that would alert me that it's on its way up again. And and I would jump in and buy it. I really do. I know people say, well, but you could buy it more cheaply here. I know, but I really want to buy it when it's going my way. I don't want to buy it where it sits there and thinks about, is it going to go up or not? So that's called momentum. You want to buy it when it's hot and get out when it's not. So UBQ, nobody asked for UBQ, but I thought I'd put UBQ in because I really like this price action here at this 200 moving average, but it's not got above it. So in fact, it's had a reversal day. And so this is another one where potentially this is really trying to make a base. And if we can make a new high here, get above 6,700 in UBQ, we've got a really nice long setup. So I would put my alarm just above here and just above yesterday's high. You can see this on an hourly here where I'm putting my alarm. I just want to know if this one goes, because if we do, our first fib retrace target, if I take just this most recent swing, I should really do it from this one here, shouldn't I, to the high? If I take just this most recent swing lower, first target is 11,700 if we get above the 200-day. But very often, you know, you see a big spike reaction when you get above a 200-day. So 11,713 if we can make a nice bottom here in UBQ. Stratus. This Stratus is really getting a little bit bored of the sideways, if you know what I mean. So we'll start again, clean chart. So we're going, whenever you go sideways and you bunch up the moving averages all together, you usually get a really powerful move out of the sideways consolidation. But we haven't been able to break out. And every time I think we are, and we're just about to in Stratus, back she comes and stays in this range. So we're in this sideways range. If we break lower, we're going to double bottom and retest the lows. If we break higher, then we're on our way. This was our first swing higher. This is our pullback. You can see where I'm looking. This 236 fib up here, if we rally from here and then rally out of the box, we'll make an equal measured move on our targets, 49,563. That's what I'd be looking for, second leg higher like that. But I can't rule out that we may retest these lows and double bottom. So I don't know which way in Stratus, but I keep watching it. And I'm going to put an alarm on the top one. There we go. My alarm, if it goes off, by the way, is super loud. So if you've got headphones on, watch out. Okay. So the next one we're going to look at is WAN chain. This is exactly almost the same setup. Sorry, that's Wabi. Here's WAN. They've changed how you open the charts on now. Now, this is so bizarre that we've bounced off this 236 fib like this that I'm starting to think that I have drawn it wrong. Okay, in fact, I must have drawn it wrong. I had it from this high, and I'm going to redraw it from here and say, oh, look, 50%. So now we look for 50% back, and hey ho, that's right where we are. We're at our 50% back level. So potentially, this is, well, and our daily 20 moving average as well. So potentially, this is where we should be looking for WAN chain to find some support and turn around and go higher. Let's see under the hood. Also, really good support and resistance here. Look at this spike low and where we're at. Okay, we're right on a great level, 50% back, daily 20 moving averages. So much to like for support here in WAN. So now, obviously, I'm watching. I had it, that's why it was on the 15-minute. Because I'm always watching for a sign that we're going to flip our moving averages here and rally. And it looks like we are. So if the definition of a downtrend is lower lows and lower highs, if we take out this little high here, we've already done it down here. We've flipped the trend already with this tiny little inverted head and shoulders down here in WAN. So I think WAN's in great shape to go higher from here. It might go sideways for a little bit. You know, levels in crypto so often get retested. If we look back and see high was a double top here, this high, and then it was retested with a little marginal new high. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we do the same thing here in WAN chain and we retest this low and maybe spike it a bit, but this is a great level and the reaction is great. So yeah, this will be first on my list to watch tomorrow to see if we found some support here. We're going to have another go in WAN chain. So now, if this rally stopped at 50% of this swing lower and this pullback stopped at 50%, you're going to have to watch out that 50% of this drop isn't going to be a bit of a problem, and that we go beyond it to break the pattern. So somewhere 50% is going to be here, somewhere in the middle. Make sure we go beyond that, and then you'll know we're in our next leg higher, especially because if we look at this, it's not clear to me whether we've got, you know, our 5 waves back. So what we may do here, if we do this, and we just rally 50% and we come back, then you know what pattern we've got, and if we break the lows, you need to get out of the way. In WAN chain. Fun. I'll try and do BTT at the end. Yeah, I'll try. I've got quite a lot of coins on the list tonight, unfortunately. And not all of them are fabulous, but I guess it's okay and a good exercise to look at where the pullback levels are. So I'll see what I can do, okay? So, funfair. Here's funfair. I've got it against the dollar at the moment. And the reason I've got it against the dollar is here's our sideways range. It looks a bit like a kind of ABC thing going on. But from this high to the low, you know, this 236 was really strong resistance. Let me put regular candles on, you can see. This 382 level was a little bit tough. So these fib levels are like a bit of a staircase. Let me make them all the same color so you can see where we're looking at. Okay, so we go up to one and back, and then we go to the next one and pull back, and it's very spiky and funfair as well. So that, all being said, that means we should find support around here if we're not going to break the pattern. This is why you need Heikin Ashi, because they tell you what's really going on the chart. Okay, so here we've reversed now at the 50%. Now we're in trouble at risk of doing a big 50% pullback if we break this 382 fib. So in funfair, short term, we're looking at now. If we go back underneath 4,515, we're going to come back 50%, which puts us down here around 4,200 in a deeper, much deeper correction. If we're going to keep trending higher, we're going to rally from here, and then we're going to just swing to the next fib level and so on. And then it'll be like a staircase. We'll look for this 50 to hold, because if it doesn't, we'll come back to this one. If it does hold, then, you know, we'll carry on. Okay? Hey, Digital Buzz. How are you? Thank you very much. Yeah, you know, it really does. The problem, you know, when I first started trading, I used to panic too. I used to sweaty palms and, oh my God, is it going up? Is it going down? And, you know, it doesn't. The hardest thing to do in trading is to make good decisions when you're feeling uncomfortable about your trade. It's not working, or you're not sure it's going to work, or if you even should have put the trade on. And the most important thing is to do whatever you can so you can think clearly and make good decisions and really stick to your plan and recognize when something's working or not. So, yeah, everything I've learned, I learned the hard way, trust me. Okay. Funfair. So the next one we look at is library credits. Who thought this coin was dead? Because I certainly did think this coin was dead. dead and probably never to be seen again, especially because we were trading at new lows. Like the lows from 2016 were at 901, and here we are underneath them. But isn't it funky? Because it looks like we're making an inverted head and shoulders pattern. We have not been above the 200-day moving average since April of 2018. And here we are 11 months later, back above this 200-day moving average. And looks like we're set for another leg higher. And this would be back to this 901 level where we're making this kind of funky looking bottom. Now, I could be wrong. What will it do if I'm wrong? Well, if I'm wrong, this was an A leg lower, this is a B leg lower, and we're going to see another C leg lower and retest the lows. And if this was an equal measured move, which doesn't quite look like, but it might be if we look at closing prices, then we'll see a nasty reversal from here. So what would be a nasty reversal? Let's take it on a 4-hour. Okay. And so if this is an APPC correction, then it'll come back more than that 236 fib level. So far it hasn't, and we're holding on here around 734. It's a bit messy and spiky, but we are holding on. And then I'm probably wrong, and we're probably going to see a much bigger correction in library credits. So at the moment, looks pretty good on a big scale, looks great above the 200-day moving average, and we're dead wrong back below this 200 moving average in library credits. So that's at 678 at the moment. It's moving higher all the time. The price is above it. It's turning up and moving a little bit higher. So yeah, watch out. Buy pullbacks. If you're already in library credits, keep an eye on it, that we don't just start, because we've got our first kind of red Heikenhashi from this maybe ABC level. So put your stop underneath it and let's see if we can hold it and just keep going. So 901 would be our first resistance level. Above 901 and back above those previous lows, and we really have we can start talking about making a bottom in library credits. But for now, we'll keep our targets reasonable. But yeah, it's like watching the dead wake up, this one, isn't it? Okay, sorry if you're associated with it. Okay, let's talk about one that I really like the look of now, and this is Vibe. So Vibe had this spectacular rally here in September, ABC correction lower, and then it took off and made another big spike high. What was the signal that we were done here? If I look at this swing, let me hide this and hide these moving averages. So from this high to low, we stalled at the 236 fib, couldn't close above it, couldn't close above it. And then when we did, we just flew. So we had this little one go, second go, and then we had this little wedge kind of consolidation here that we broke out of. And that was our big trigger. Okay, so here we are again. We're doing this again. This time we'll do it from here like this. High to low. Okay, rallied, can't get above the 236. Look what cool resistance this 236 fib is here with these highs at 11.25. Now we want to see, have we got this little wedge that we're looking to break out of? It's really hard to read in this one, isn't it? What we really don't want it to do is go flying without us. So it's just right on the line. Third touches of trend lines are almost always, if they're valid trend lines, false breaks. Okay, so here's our first touch, second touch. We would expect this here, but we shouldn't make a no. We shouldn't break it the other way if we're going to go higher. And we should watch and see if we pull back and have another go. So next time we break higher, there's a Roy chart, we'll put the alert on and watch for it to go. I'm going to put my moving averages back on. Now, if we're dead wrong, then we'll break this lower trend line like this. But for now, watch for this pullback and watch for a breakout on the upside again. So on those other rallies, where did we go and where will this one go? Let's do it again. Oh, we've got this horizontal level, haven't we? So our first target will be back to the highs. 1735. And let's see if there's a fib level that lines up with any of that. Probably 382 fib, actually 1672. Okay. So we'll keep 1672 and then 2065 will be our second target for vibe. But I really do like this one, 1187. A 4-hour close above 1187, it should be on its way higher. So yeah, that's one of my picks for tonight. And that's why. One more. Okay. VET is next. V-chain has had a lovely move. Okay, I want to say that this has not finished going higher. Whenever you've got a rectangle and we've got a double bottom here and at least a triple top on this upside, when you break out of this sideways range, your target is twice this range. So for us in V-chain, from here to here like this, that's how far we should go to our first target. We're not quite there yet. That's minimum. Okay, so now we did stop at this 236 fib though. So now we're going to look for this level to be support and we carry on higher again if I have drawn these fib retraces correctly. Okay, and if I go all the way to these highs from all the way, then maybe that's where the market's looking at 157. But I'm going to leave it here for now because we've had such a nice reaction and say that I think we've got another leg in it. Just waiting for to turn higher then from these prior highs. You can see that just as what I'm waiting for. So how are we going to catch this one? We're going to connect these highs. Okay, and we're going to look at this as a pennant. Okay, so here's a bullish pennant. It's like a flag, but it's a triangle. So here's our flagpole. Here's our bullish pennant. Here's our lows that we're holding very nicely. And our 200 moving average on the hourly. And we're going to say when this breaks to the upside, that's our long trigger. So probably above 135 or something like that if you needed it. We're going to retest the highs at 142. And then we're looking for our next swing higher. Watch out for the 200 moving average. So we've got a few obstacles in our way. But because we've reacted so well at this fib level, I'm going to say probably we should go to the next one, which is up here at 167. Okay. If I want to look at a dead chart, look at DBC, BTC. Okay, isn't DBC on the list tonight? No, it's not. I'll try that one at the end then. Okay, is it really dead? Let's see. Oh, no. If you want to see dead, look at Crowd Machine, CMC. Guess I bought that one. Okay, wait, let me go. I want to get out of deep brain chain. Okay, well, next one we're going to look at Zilliqa. I'm having a brain fart now. I shouldn't have looked at that deep brain thingy. Ta-da! Zilliqa and Komodo. We'll start with Zilliqa, which is in a correction. And I hate to say this, but really, as a moving average trader, we're still in a downtrend in Zilliqa. We couldn't sustain it above the 200 moving average. All of these others are underneath it. And we're in a swing lower. You know, we've just made an ABC correction, which is an equal measured move, which is corrective like this. Look. So that's how it looks to me. So another swing lower. What I would need to see now, if this is really good level that we've bounced off, then it needs to hold up on a retest and give us a really good bottoming sign, like a double bottom or a rounded retest. This is where we have one And then we have a really long retest of the lows, something like that. That would say that we've made a good low here in silica, but for now, it's really not enough to say that, you know, apart from flattening out of our moving averages, there's a lower time frame here. There's really not enough to say this could be a big low and a place to buy. Let's see. Let's see what Mr. Fibonacci Pi says. Yeah, so listen, if the fib levels, right, are like a staircase, so this 50% we bounced off, got underneath, and then look, resistance here, resistance. Now this is the 61.8. We bounced off it all the way back, bounced off us again. Now it's resistance here. So I think we should look lower, and the next fib level down is 416 for Silica Bitcoin. That's probably where we're going to see next. So 416, wait and see what happens there. Komodo is a little bit of a happier chart. However, this complete brick wall of 236 fib again is where we're stuck. So it was the lows back here. It was a bit of a, we tried it here, that was highs here. So it's a good support and resistance level and a fib level. 31,264. So Komodo, despite this beautiful head and shoulders pattern, really can't make much more progress until we can get above 31,264. Okay, then when it does, I'm going to say our lovely 50% level, and then potentially these highs, because of this pattern, you know, it looks pretty lovely, really, and doesn't it? So 31,264. Otherwise, this looks like a bit like a swing failure pattern, and we may have to come a little bit lower in Komodo to find some support. I don't know, it looks pretty good to me right now, doesn't it, tonight? Looks like she's ready to go soon. So if I got a big green here and this turned higher, I would buy it and wait and see if we can get above 31,264. Niraj thinks I'm a transgender. In your dreams, Niraj, in your dreams. I'm not. I do have a deep voice, but... okay, that's Komodo. No coins for you, Niraj. Grocer coin is next. Where is that little grocer coin? Here we go. I know I have a deep voice, but it's not. Here we go. All right. Good for bedtime stories. Okay. So we've done that 50% thing and 50% thing in grocer coin, I think. Yeah. So it went a little bit beyond 618. So if we, let's do all our fibs the same color. Oh look, it's not working because I got annoyed. The machine can sense my annoyance. Okay, when you reverse to 618 fib level, which we did up here, let me move this out of the way. Here's our up here. Then your minimum, when you reverse, remember we talked about the fib levels being like stairs, okay? So if you reverse at a 618 level, you need to see this 50% underneath it be support, because if it doesn't, it's going to come all the way back to at least the 382 fib level, which was here at 1400, and sometimes the 236. And in this case, this is the 236. So even if we're done going up in Groster coin, from here, what I'm expecting is a rally at least 50% of this drop. So let's wind it in. And so here's our high to low. We should rally from here at least 50% back. So that's going to say 14,645. So I think once we see proper evidence that this has turned up and going higher, that's where we can look. So if we look on a 4-hour chart like this, and go down a time frame, here we are. So now we can use our fib rules going the other way, okay? Here's our 236 fib here. If we get above it in gross coin, which is 11,900, if we have an hourly or 4-hourly close above this level, then our first target is back to the 50%. So this is your trade between these two levels. And then if we go beyond that, we probably have made a bottom, but we might see a bit of a pullback before we do, okay? Dee Dee, thanks. Oh, you guys are lovely. It's been a really shit week. I'm really glad I'm here. Thanks. Okay, so if we're above 11,900, we will at least go back to 14,600. So you can get a trade on and you can get a stop in and see what happens. See if it does keep going in gross or coin. That would be great if we could. But that's how it is. You know, it may be, you know, that this big rally was it for a bit and we may need to be a little bit patient. Okay? Yeah, I used to trade FX. Yeah, I think, Alan, the dollar is due to rally, but you need to be careful this week because it's the Fed on Wednesday, the Fed rate decision. So I'm not going to talk about this now and bore everyone, but, you know, everybody's expecting the Fed to be really dovish and no more hikes this year. And if they're any more than that, you know, that'll make your trade work and your dollar rally like mad and the euro sell off. Okay, so gross coin is done. Digibyte. So just watch out for Wednesday at 2 p.m. New York time, 7 p.m. UK time. Now Digibyte is a funny little... Where are you, Digibyte? Here we go. This is a pretty nice setup. Okay, this is what you want to see, you know, when you're not, you know, when you fail at a 236 fib, which is what we've basically done here. When a market makes an APPC correction, which it looks like we've done here, it's a double bottom anyway, you put your fibs over both APPC swings. Okay, now in this is another one where we failed at a 236 fib. So in fib terms, technically, we're still in a downtrend. Okay, 385 is really what we need to get above if we're going to keep going higher. What I like about this pattern of behavior is that, you know, we didn't collapse. We didn't get up there and then vroom, come all the way back again. So that's quite hopeful. So now I'd be looking at like the 38.2 fib, somewhere like that. Maybe the 50% in this 20 moving average to be support. And then we have another go at this 236 fib. So I'm going to say 326 is where the 20 moving average is and that 50% level. And the 200 is just underneath it. So somewhere around there, I think, is where I'd be looking for this to come back to and go again. So if you've been in it, probably take some profit and wait for this next dip to turn up again. It doesn't matter what you use, whether you use a MACD or an RSI or what kind of oscillator. I really like a CCI because I find it quite precise when you cross the midline. But whatever oscillator you use, wait for it to turn up again, and that'll really give you a good indication of when it's time to jump back in again. You know, if you put 4 oscillators on your chart next to each other, look at them and see which one you like. They're really good as timing tools. They won't tell you much about levels, but they will tell you when the market is swinging your way. Okay, hi John Peters, I can see you. I'll try and see what I can do at the end. Okay, so that's that one. ZEC is next. Zcash, gosh. So in a downtrend, so let's go back all the way back in this one, or let's look at what we do with moving averages, daily moving averages, and how I look at it. So in this downtrend here, when our moving averages are going down, you know, the 20 is like your first line of resistance, and then the 50 is like your backstop. And if you can't get above the 50, you're still going down. And this worked perfectly here. It kind of worked here. You know, if you can't hold above it, down you go, down you go. And it's working really well here. This daily 50 moving average and these highs are where we're stuck. And if we can get above it and hold above it, happy days, we'll be on our way up again. Just move the fib down to cover this, and we can see where our first tentative level on an upside. So if we break these highs, or if we get a daily close above 13,670, our first target is 14,800. That's what we need to see. On a lower time frame, this is going to look like a big wedge, or 4-hour pennant, probably. Here it is. So here's our 4-hour pennant, and we're waiting for this to break to the upside. So put an alarm on it. When it breaks, up it goes. Then 14,800 first target. Till then, really, Zcash is just, take this one away. It's just not much doing, is it? Not. It's all very quiet. And, you know, to be quite honest, we could go either way because of this downtrend in ZEC. So I'm going to make this horizontal just to be sure. I'll put my alert on. Okay. So a break above the daily 50 moving average should see some really good upside to follow through 14,805 and 16,200. You bought some theta. We're going to do theta in a minute. Theta's not bad. Let's take a look though. Let's see. We're nearly there. If I go out of order, everyone will get confused, or they'll come back at the wrong place. Or so I'm just going to, if it's okay with you, I'm just going to stick to the list for a little bit longer. We're going to look at metal, MTL, next. That's weird. Okay. Let's try and do it here. Let's find... Doesn't matter. We can just... So metal Bitcoin. This has got a lovely look. Look at the volume on these up spikes as well. This volume is really picking up. I'm just going to hide this for now though. Okay. So we're flattening out. We've bunched up our moving averages. That kind of means a horizontal range trade usually. And this is our highs that we can't get above. And it's at that big round number 1,000. No surprise. So 1,000 is our resistance in metal, and where people are taking profits on rallies. And no surprise, if we take this most recent move lower, it's the 50% level. The good news is that we've done the 50% pullback. And so we should now be ready. So we've gone all the way back to the highs. I think this time we should hold this 200 moving average, and I'm looking for a break high. If you haven't bought any and you want to know when it's for sure going away, back above 1,009 would be it. Above there would be what I'd be looking for. Okay. Now, first target will be back to these highs up here, because that's what determines the trend. So we'd be looking for up around 1450 next. If we can break out of this sideways range. But I'm actually going to go up and look for the biggest swing here. I'm going to say this is the biggest swing. Like this. Yeah. So 2136. So prior highs, big prior highs here, 1473, and then probably 2100. What is an order block? Oh. You have an old order block on this level for Digibyte to 323. Okay, I'm not going to pop back to Digibyte. I know what order blocks are, but I'm not going to pop back. Okay, ZEC I've already done because I think I went out of order, didn't I? Sorry. Thank you, Daleks, for keeping me on track. BNB is next, people. So we're looking for sideways price action to break higher above 1,000. Then we're buyers in metal, and we're looking for 1440. If we see a deeper pullback, bigger than we're expecting in metal, we are probably going to do one of those bigger ABCs. So this is one of those irregular corrections. So this is one leg, B leg. And we're looking for 858, a little bit lower, potentially all the way down to 754 in our sideways range. So good time to be patient and protect profits. BNB is next. Huge fan of BNB. Now, why wasn't, if I'm such a huge fan of BNB, why wasn't BNB on my list of top 3? Especially as I think it's going higher. Well, the main reason BNB is not on my top list of 3 is I look at how far we are from these daily moving averages and how stretched we are. And therefore, and I'm starting to see bearish divergence. Bearish divergence is hard to see on a CCI, but it's quite good to see on an RSI. We kind of need to work out this bearish divergence. What does bearish divergence mean? It means simple bearish divergence is when the price is making higher highs, and I'm going to put regular candles on here. This is a daily chart, so we're making RSIs based on close prices. So you connect your close prices like this, and you can see that we're making higher highs. But here on the oscillator, we're making lower highs. That's bearish divergence. That is not a sign to sell it, but it does tell you that we're running out of steam to the upside, and we may be looking at a bigger pullback soon, because these fib levels have been quite tricky to read, I have to say, in this one. I'm going to say that the 618 and the combination of these prior highs are probably where we run out of steam in Binance Coin Tether. So, and 14, because this is a big 50% level that I think we push through, I'm going to say 1465, or if we start making lower, because on the daily, look, this is a, as soon as we start taking out these previous swing lows, that's going to start being a little bit toppy for me. And I might de-risk a bit, take some off in Binance Coin, because I've had quite a big position in this one, and I'm like really alert now for a bit of a bigger reversal, or I might connect these lows like this. If we lost the 4-hour 50 moving average or something, I would be definitely getting out a little bit and waiting. Okay, Strakey, thank you, So Binance Coin, I love it, but I think we're a little stretched on the upside and might see a bit of a bigger pullback. Now, because I can't make the fibs work in Tether, let's take a look at Binance Bitcoin and see if we can make fibs work here, because here we are now. Here's a little trick I use. Okay, I used to get paid to chart AIM stocks, which are penny stocks. I used to chart them when they went to the moon. And a little trick that I used to be to put fib projections on the corrections and look for fib targets that way. And in this Binance Coin Bitcoin, this is a weekly chart, it's worked spectacularly. So the 2.618 was this one, and we came all the way back to these highs. Then the 4.236 came all the way back. So my next sequence, my next fib level in sequence is 6.854. That comes in at 41,795. Now, we might stop ahead of them because of fibs from this swing. In fact, we might be done with that first swing and in this bigger one now. So let's mark where they are, because you can see we're above it. Hooray. So no danger there. Is it the 2 that maybe we stopped at? Not quite at it. So this says to me, I think that this consolidation should, after it's finished, break to the upside. So little flaggy at the moment, but I'm still looking for this to go a little bit higher. I'm going to take that one away, and I'm going to say at least 41,795 next in Binance Coin Bitcoin. But we are, and look, I've got the RSI here. You can see we are seeing some bearish divergence in this one. If I connect these highs here, this is a daily chart here like this. Remember, divergence on its own isn't enough to sell it, but it warns you a reversal is coming. So there's our divergence here. So this is why, although I like it to keep going higher, it wasn't on my list of picks tonight. I love this. I think it'll be a great buy on a pullback, but we just, you know, need to see it come back soon. So be alert for a reversal. I think we've got a little bit more room to go to the upside, and then we'd be looking at a correction for Binance Coin. Pay is next. Oh, Pay's back here too. Pay. Don't really see an edge in this coin, and when I say that, I mean I don't really feel like I know what it's gonna, I have any clue what it's gonna do next. It has these big swings that are sideways, so we're coiling up for a big move. That's what, let's put it that way, and I don't know which way it's going to be. And when you're in the middle of this coiling up and in the middle of the bunched up moving averages, yeah, I did do my top three tonight. Yeah, I will. My top three tonight, if you just joined and you're late, my top three tonight were Bitcoin Cash, Vibe, and ADA. Bitcoin Cash, Vibe, and ADA. Now, if we look at if we look at where we are in this one, you know, we could just as easily go back from here to having two touches on either side. We could go up to the top of this wedge, or we could just as easily from here, you know, retest these lows before we go higher. So this is what I mean about Pay. I feel like I don't really have an edge. We're in a very tight range with Bitcoin. So I would say it's doing what Bitcoin is doing. And if Bitcoin goes lower, then probably Pay will as well, unfortunately. So be a little bit careful in this one. I'm going to say yeah, don't know which way. Sorry. And I stared at it for a long time thinking about it. But I just... Sometimes it's better not to be in it, you know, if you really don't, you know, it's just better not to be in it. Did I put PPT on the list? I didn't put PPT on. And you know what, when I look at this, whenever you see a really obvious level like this, and we're bunched up underneath it, and this kind of price action, especially as we've just got like this little bullish cross of this 20, and this to me just looks like it wants to go higher. I would be looking at this Populous. It's not on the list, I apologise. I'd be watching this, you know, and you see it, if we do get above this level and hold above it, I'd buy the dip if it held. So just thought I'd mention that while I'm here. Sorry about that. We'll carry on. So THETA is next. THETA token. I hate to say this, but this is another one where I'm not sure which way we're going to go next. I like this to be one more, so a fifth wave. In other words, this is a 1, 2, 3. And if we're going to see another one higher, then 38.2, this is where we should find our support. And, well, 50% has come, you know, we're 50% back of this swing anyway. So that's a really good place to find support, isn't it? And we should be all ready to turn higher from here. Is it a timing thing? Maybe we just need to sit here a little bit longer. When I look at how long this correction has gone on relative to, say, this one, then you know what? We haven't been very sideways for very long. So, yeah. 31.86 is our support that we're sitting on. Sometimes you come back between the 50 and the 61.8, which would mean if we lose this support, then our major support is at 27.09, and below 27.09, I would give up buying theta. But this is a really good level. It's just really a question of timing. Is it ready to go now? Not quite sure. That's all. So there we go. Great level. Not sure it's going up. What would tell us that we are from here? I don't think we got above. We probably did though. Yeah. I think if we got back above this hourly 200 moving average, we could really take it on. And that's at 36.60, I would say. Above 36.60, we're definitely on our way. But until then, you know, it's just... it's taking its sweet time to get going. So, love the level, just not ready to go up again yet. In theta, do love the level though. Next one is ONT. ONT has been a huge winner. We all jumped on this in our group at the weekend. And then got knocked back at this big 50% level. So again, sorry, this is where we were trading at. Okay, so our target is up here. The reason, so let me take this away. The reason our target is up here is because this is, in the big picture, the big fib 236 fib retrace from this high all the way up here to that low. So I'll just draw the trend line so you can see how we've drawn it. Okay, so that's why our target is at 39.96. If I've drawn it correctly, 39.77. At the moment, we've bounced above the 200-day moving average, pulled back, found support. You know, and we're all set, I think, to go higher. The problem is that we've stalled at this previous high. And if we take the most recent swing, it's the 50%. So that automatically makes you a bit nervous because you don't want to come all the way back 50%, do you? So you're watching, okay, because we've already done that once. We stopped at the 50%, came back 50%. Now it's time to go on our way higher again. So far, so good. It's just an inside day, isn't it? Just a little inside day. Now, if it starts being more than a little inside day, then it's time to get out because this will mean this is our first swing lower, B leg, and we'll see another swing lower. And we really don't want that. So I'm long, PPONT, a few people in our group are. So we're going to watch that we don't come back too far. What will be not too far for us to give up on this? Because it's not. See how at the moment these prior highs and this 236 fib level is where we're kind of going sideways, trying to hold on to. I think if we lost that I would say get out and wait for a better entry because it's going to start to look quite double toppy to me. So a daily close below 26.93 and I'll get out in ONT and wait for a bigger correction. I'm really hopeful, though, that this starts to turn around. Hope is not a trading strategy, though. So if it comes down, I'm going to get out. But otherwise, I'm really looking for it to turn up and hold on from here in ONT. So I'm long, hoping we don't come back too much further and we carry on higher. Now, if we bounced off the 50% this time, came all the way back there, where is our next leg going to be? We're going to go at least 1.618 of this correction because that's harmonic pattern rule. That's 3367. And let's see where we are from here. It's a 2.618. 3.618 from that swing. So it all lines up there. So there's a lot of confluence between these two corrections. So here's our next target. If we continue higher, we break higher, 3338 is our next resistance level where we might stall. But our target, our big target is this big 236 fib up here at 3977 in ontology. So resistance and then target. Raven is next. Okay, the top three were ADA, BCH, and Vibe, V-I-B-E. Okay, I'm just looking for Raven. So here's an hourly chart of Raven. We really need to start on the daily. Okay, so in Raven, I've drawn my fibs from this high to this low. We reversed at this 786. Actually, it's probably an 886, isn't it? Which is good, because when you reverse at an 886 fib, your target is back to the 50%. So we've done that perfectly, and we should be on our way higher now in Raven coin. Okay, now if we look at where we are from this most recent swing lower on the hourly, because this is quite tricky. You can see what I mean by this downtrend was quite straightforward, but these waves, these choppy overlapping waves, are not very inspiring so far for a new leg higher in Raven coin, are they? And when I look at this, you know, remember that rule about 50% one way, 50% the other way? Here we are stuck at this 50% in the middle. If we can't get above this in Raven coin, we're kind of risking another swing lower. In other words, this was a A and a B leg and then another one lower. So 788 becomes a must get above level here in Raven. Okay, that's why it's not kind of top of my list tonight. So if we can get above that 50% level, up we go, new swing higher. We're looking for new highs or targets. I'm going to go back to the daily. We're going to put our fibs on from here like this. We're going to mark the 1272, and this lines up where this lines up with this 1.618. And we're going to say, okay, we're looking for new highs, and this is our target zone between 1226 and 1258. But if we can't get above this 50% level, we risk another leg lower like this. So this is A, B, and then a C leg, you know, before we go again. So there you go. Callum, do you know, I didn't learn them for stuff. I used to go to, I don't know if you know the Fibonacci Queen. She had a guy, I can't even remember, and it's so bad that I can't remember his name. But she had a guy who was a student of hers, and he used to do, for a little bit, he did like free YouTube videos and stuff. And I learned a couple of rules from him, and I learned a couple of rules from harmonic patterns. So, you know, when you learn to draw harmonic patterns, which look like this very often, you know, I learned simple rules for the first leg. So when you've got your first swing down, so if we did it on here, if this was my first swing down, I just taught myself simple rules so that I knew what to look for next. So if this first swing stopped at the 50%, I knew that it was going to go at least 1.618 on the next leg, and probably be a bat or something like that, or an ABC. And I knew that was also true if this first leg was to the 236 or the 382. I knew that if the second went, if it went to the 618, that it couldn't be any of those, but it could quite likely, it was either going to be a Gartley or a butterfly, then that's what I'd be looking for. So I just learnt the rules that way in my head. If this happens, look for this way next. And I know that's a bit nutty, and I should probably write a booklet myself. But 886 pullbacks, yeah, 50% back. And if you do a second leg, I hate to say this, but if you do a second leg down, in this one, it's the 236 down here for your second target. So if we don't get above here, that's where we'll come back to, and the level is 450. So I should do some free webinars on it. But you know, we learn all this in our strategy group. It's not, and it's very super cheap, really. You could come learn it all in 1 month and then go. But so, okay. Right, so that's Raven coin. Watch out that we get above 788 and we don't reverse here again, because otherwise we could come back to 450. APPC next is APPC is next, which is coins. What's going on in this one? Now, when I drew these lines on my chart, it was because I was being a bit lazy, and I thought, you know, sometimes you see a spike like this and you say, oh yeah, bloody Binance, you know, and I'll just ignore it and I'll draw my range like this. And so I was like, here's my range. And what's happened is I probably should have paid more attention, because it looks like now we've stalled at potentially an ABC. If I measure this from here, no, maybe not. Okay. Either way, it's made a bit of a mess of my sideways range, and that's not what's going on. It looks like we've got support from our moving averages, and we may actually be setting up a bit of an uptrend. And we're doing that 50% retrace thing very often. When you see that, that really is a really good sign, you know, that you've got an uptrend going on. So anyway, here we go. We're holding these daily moving averages, this daily 20. We've got a really good week-long sideways cluster of support going on here. So I would be watching this 4-hour chart. Here's our sideways, to see if this can break to the upside or not. So far not. But if it does, happy days. If it doesn't, we've got a little bit further to go, unfortunately. This is, again, you know, one of those, I want to be bullish. We've made a new high. We're above all of these daily moving averages. I really do want to be bullish. But the risk is that we could still come all the way back and retest lower prices before we turn higher again. That's my concern in this one. Let me try. Okay, I have this kind of hatred that I'm curve fitting and picking random swings. So I tend to be quite strict about most recent swing lower, like it has to be obvious swing lower. You know, maybe this most recent swing lower is this one really, instead of this. But I'm going to say, okay, let's say it's this one, and this is the 236 fib that we're messing around at, that we can't get above. And in that case, this makes more sense, especially with this price action here. And then I'll say, okay, well, if we get back above 2181 again, then yeah, probably we are in an uptrend. But otherwise, this is just too choppy for me. And I'd probably reduce my position in this one, because it's not doing what it's supposed to. Okay, next one we're going to look at, sorry about that. Now, if we do get above here, our next target is these lows here. See how these lows line up with this 50% back? If that happens, happy days. Okay, so we're looking for 4,400 next. Very nice level. If we can get back above 2181. But I'm not terribly confident, I have to say. Probably fly now, I've said that. Okay, RLC is the next one that I'm going to look at. Can't remember who asked for this one, but it's definitely been one that we've been looking at. There's nothing more annoying, though, when you set a target and a coin shoots all the way up to it in one day and you miss it. So, and that's pretty much the case in this one. You know, you can say when you get above a 236 fib that your next target on the upside is the 382. This one, it did it all in one spike and then came all the way up back again. And the annoying thing about that is because we closed underneath this 236 fib and we're holding underneath it, the risk is that we could continue lower from here. We're holding an okay support level. We're staying in the top half of this big green candle, and while we do that, I'm inclined to say that there's a good chance that we do rally from here. But if we don't, and if we come back any lower, I would say it's time to bug out. And so I would say this open close 50%, 865. That's going to be 965, sorry. 965 is where I would call it quits in this one. As long as we stay above that level, I think that there's a pretty good chance we could carry on and go higher, but back below 965 and it's time to get out in RLC, because we'll see a much bigger pullback all the way back, potentially, at least to the 15, but potentially back to the 200 day. And yeah, it's kind of important. I would probably see how this lines up with this spike high. This kind of makes sense with Elliott wave rules, okay? Because if this was a big wave 1, wave 2, maybe, this is kind of a bull bear line here, 980. So 965, 980 is support. Back below there, we'll give up on RLC. Okay, next one we're going to look at. Who asked for this? DMT. Let's see. Where did I put that little DMT? I put it down here, D market. I haven't used fibs on this one, mainly because in this decline, it's quite hard to pick at. Now, this is helpful. Okay, when you have a massive drop on the opening day, like you've got in this one, you can look at this and you go, where the hell do you put your fib from this? What I tend to do is the first bounce. Okay, so see these candles here? This high is our first bounce. So I put my high of my fib retraces from there, and then I would put it all the way down to the lows like this. Okay, now we look at this and let's make it at least all grey. And we can say, does this make sense? Was anybody else looking at these levels? And you know what? I think they were. And look at that, a perfect 50% at this high. So whilst we stay underneath 11,379, we're kind of bumping around in the lower levels, aren't we? And this one didn't just come all the way back, yet double bottomed. So other than that, I've drawn horizontal support and resistance, which is what we keep tagging. And, we've got great support from this 200-day moving average in D market. Every time we come back to it, somebody steps up and buys it. They did it in November, they did it in the spike in January, and they did it when we tested it at the beginning of this month. So we've got good support. We've got starting to get bullish moving averages. We've got a nice bullish cross of our daily. We should see some follow through to the upside. Let's see. So I would say go down to a lower time frame in DMT if you want to buy this. Mark it this way. We'll do. If you buy this, you're going to be looking for us to get up to this 236 fib at 6756. And if we get above 6756, 50% of the drop, gosh, lines up with that big support and resistance level at 7926. And we'll go from there. So yeah, it looks good. Does look like it's turning up on this. For us, if we make a new high, 6756 and then 7926, and then see what happens there. If we go beyond there, then happy days. So DMT, OAX is one that, this one, quite annoyed with this. This was my pick this morning, one of my picks this morning in group. We were looking at this breakout, got it on a 15-minute, but we'll start with the daily for why we like it. Okay, we like it on the daily because, daily candles, Here we go, look at this. Here's our 236 fib that was resistance. We got above it, had a very nice pullback to retest it and a really strong bullish move. And not only that, but if we look at this on a 4-hour, we can see this as a really kind of nice wedge breakout here. So this morning we broke out, came back, retested, and now finally we're moving higher again, which is happy. So I've been watching this on a 15-minute for this pullback retest to turn up again. So OAX, here we go. Does look like we're finally going up again. So first target is 4276. Second target is 4677. This is a textbook breakout, retest, carry on. Even if I didn't draw the trend line perfectly, that is what, in fact, we're looking at. So good luck. 4276, 4677 are up where we're looking for next. And then somebody asked me to look at POLIS. Yeah, I'll just put this BitTorrent chart up and I'll quickly poke at it in a minute. POLIS and this drop. But I can't. I had quite a long fiddle with fibs, and I'm going to say that I'm really struggling in this one. So we'll stick to simple rules and most recent swing lower. Now normally, you know, you would say 5 waves up like we've got here. You would look for 3 waves back and then another leg higher potentially, or it might just be a 3 dries pattern that breaks down. And we're going to do the fib retraces in this one. And I can't see any reason. This is a pretty nasty shakeout. After taking out this previous low, clearly we've reversed the trend. So this next swing higher, if you're long of it and you're stuck, this next swing higher, once we get going, is a 786 fib. Fib rules say 382. So look for 2,920,500 to be resistance. Okay, and that's where from there, because this is 5 up, we need 3 back. Then we're going to see another one lower. Okay, so if you're long and stuck in POLIS, look for 2,929,600 to be your exit and take and get out there, because we'll see at least another one lower from there. Okay. I hope OAX works. I really don't know that much about it. It was just a bit embarrassing to say. But let's cross my fingers and toes. Let's see. So BTT. I've got BitTorrent Bitcoin on. To be honest, we normally look at this against ETH or dollar, just because it's such chunky fat chunks in this one. But we've bounced from a 618. We've got a double bottom there. If we break the highs in the middle, we should go at least to the 382. But because of this double bottoms spiked here, then we're going to go twice this distance, which actually takes us a bit higher to 30, I think, if we rally in this from here. So at least 28, but more likely 30, the fib levels say. So does this double bottom say potentially we've made a bottom here? Potentially. But we really need it to break out of the sideways range to give us a better idea. So not much, you know, we're flat and I'm neutral unless we get above 23 in BTT, BTC. And if we get above 23, I'm looking for 30. If I look at BTTF or BTT Tether, got the same lovely double bottom here, haven't we? That's very good. So if we break out the highs in the middle, that's our trade. We're going to go twice the distance and then hopefully make a bigger bottom and up from there. If we look at BTT Tether, a bit messy. Round the bottom, it's definitely the same sideways range and stuck towards the highs. So yeah, that's what we're looking for. Break out of this sideways range to say that we're on the up again. And I'm not counting my chickens until then. All right then. So I'm sorry I couldn't do any more. I know you asked me for a bunch that I haven't covered. See you next week, okay? Thanks for coming. Bye, everyone.